Ukraine's ports must be reopened or millions face starvation, warns UN.
Here's a summary of the article.
The United Nations World Food Programme has warned that millions of people are marching towards starvation, unless ports in southern Ukraine, which have been closed because of the war, are reopened. One of the top 3 grain exporters in the world, Ukraine is known as Europe's breadbasket. The conflict caused by Russia's invasion has blocked Black Sea ports in the country and stranded millions of tons of grain in silos. Around 276 million people worldwide were facing acute hunger at the start of 2022, but this number is expected to rise by 47 million people, particularly affecting sub-Saharan Africa if the conflict in Ukraine continues. We have to open up these ports so that food can move in and out of Ukraine, WFP Executive Director David Beasley said. Nearly 30% of the world's wheat, a fifth of its exports of corn, mineral fertilizer and natural gas comes from Ukraine and Russia. Even before the Ukraine war, energy and food prices had increased last year due to higher demand in places such as China, low production of crops at the beginning of 2021, and the disruption to supply chains because of the COVID pandemic. Dr. Rajiv Shah, president of the Rockefeller Foundation, said last month that 2022 is likely to be the worst year from a food crisis and global hunger and starvation perspective than any year since World War II.
This post received a score of 7,300, with an upvote ratio of 97%. Here are the top comments in response to this article.
Around 276 million people worldwide were facing acute hunger at the start of 2022, but this number is expected to rise by 47 million people, particularly affecting sub-Saharan Africa, if the conflict in Ukraine continues. It says here,
these price rises and food shortages will cause lots of political coups and likely civil wars over the next 2 years. The world has become a lot less stable and it will start showing over summer.
To add to the things you listed, heat waves and droughts are becoming more frequent and can further escalate local conflicts.
This has been a recurring theme in intelligence communities for a while now. Climate change poses a direct, strategic risk to all nations. As resources become scarcer, conflicts will erupt. African nations in particular are truly a powder keg, more so than they usually are.
But for a beautiful moment in time, we created a lot of value for the shareholders.
Make line go more up.
Russia dropped 400+ sea mines in the Black Sea, many of them became unmoored and now adrift. Talk is cheap, want results. Start doing something.
I wondered why they did that. Ukraine has basically no navy, so it must have been for destroying civilian ships. In typical Russian fashion, those mines that broke free will probably end up sinking a few of their own.
They did it to punish Ukraine for not immediately rolling over and to punish the rest of the world for supporting Ukraine.
Interestingly, democratic-rich nations support Ukraine. African nations abstained from UN vote, or few supported Russia. Poor nations will be facing starvation. You can all thank Russia.
Eritrea gets 95% of their wheat from Ukraine. Voted for Russia in UN.
It's also a police state dependent upon Russia for arms. The Eritrean government is literally choosing guns over butter.
What could go wrong? Coup noises in distance.
Constanța port in Romania is currently handling exports for Ukraine. It's working at full capacity but can't handle this much volume. Securing safe corridors for export from Odessa would help immensely.
How about asking Russia to fuck off so the ports can be opened, UN?
Russia can just veto that.
Yes, but vetoing something designed to save people from starvation will make them hate it even more. Well, perhaps the countries that are facing starvation should take a stronger stance on the war. They support Russia apparently. Russia has support in parts of Asia, South America and Africa.
And Russia, in theory, could still sell their wheat to those nations. They're not being embargoed in those countries, I recall. Russia is the world's largest exporter of wheat, accounting for more than 18% of international exports.
This video was automatically created by Reddit to speech. The article and comments in this video were selected from Reddit according to their upvotes, and any paraphrasing was performed by smmry.com, without any human intervention.